Hey, it's the Direct Response Podcast. I'm your host, Travis Ketchum, founder of Campaign Refinery, joined as always by David Cartolano from Wealthy Inbox. Hey, man.
What's up, dude?
So, on this episode, we get to cover something a little bit more in our wheelhouse. It's about basically lead nurture strategy. The whole point of direct response and online marketing in general is, we talked about this even offline earlier today. Generate traffic, give them an offer, retain them, send them, right? All these things are basically the simple math. And if you can do those things, you are successful. And as you go up the food chain, the more that you focus on the beginning of the funnel, the rest of the funnel just takes care of itself, right? Because it will tend to consistently perform the same percentage. Taking a 5% lift at the beginning of the funnel is way more useful than a 5% lift at the end of the funnel, for example. And that's where, in my opinion, the lead nurture strategy really comes into play. Now, you've written probably more email copy than me, I would have to imagine. I've written a fair amount. I've been doing it longer, but you've been doing more reps in the same interval. Let's put it that way. So when you're putting together a lead nurture strategy, what kind of things come to mind, and what do you prioritize in terms of value for making sure that people that are prospects are much more likely to actually become customers?
Oh my gosh. The first question I ask, and whether it's for a newsletter or whether it was for, old clients that I had that were more like boots on the ground, direct marketing. First question I would ask myself is, what do they want? You know what I mean? And we said this offline, and just bombarding people with testimonials, is that a strong lead nurture strategy? Absolutely. It definitely works for some people. For me, I think if it's all about you, it's not about them. And for me, yeah, testimonials are great. They're important, but they didn't sign up to an email list for receiving nothing but testimonials. They do want something else. And the question is, what else? What else do they want? What are they joining for? If it is a mindful, a mindful life coachy, healing type brand, they're not signing up for your list for testimonials. They're signing up because there's something missing in their life, and the emails are a way to help them find that. And when they find those little things, in theory and hopefully in practice, it leads them to saying, well, if these emails are this good and they're helping me out in this way, I wonder what the next service can do. Hey, there's a link right here. I should check it out, right? Same thing with e-com. Right? Yeah, someone just bought something. Great. How do you make sure that they buy something again of their own accord and then tell their friends about it and how great it is? That is a lead nurture process. And you have to answer the question, what do they want? And it takes work and it sucks. And I know this because I did it for the newsletter that I'm building, where I called my ideal customer up and I asked them, hey, what do you want? What do you want out of this? And I have to completely change everything because what I thought they wanted was different. So comes down to that question, man. What do they want?
Yeah, so I like to think about, sort of the parable analogy, and we'll use that to then transition into the block and tackle, like, hey, that really translates into X, Y, and Z things you can actionably do, because we're like focusing on the actionable stuff here on this podcast. Now, the thing that I come back to is the concept of the hero's journey, and that this is a very common mechanism of storytelling. However, most business owners get a key fundamental piece of the hero's journey wrong. A lot of times when you think about, okay, I'm going to help them get from point A to point B, which is what the sales mechanism is, you're helping them build a bridge to get from A to B. The problem is when you use the hero's journey concept to sell that, a lot of business owners make of themselves the hero. So they're like, hey, I went and vanquished the dragon, and that you're trying to accomplish, and I know how to do it, and me. Right? That's where a lot of those testimonials and components come in, and the whole conversation is about how great I am, and it props up the vendor or the product creator, right? And you should definitely sell the benefits. But if the real hero's journey actually makes the prospect, the lead, is going to be the hero in this journey, because they are the one going from A to B. They are the one that's trying to slay the dragon. Your role in this arc, this is a very commonly, misinterpreted nuance in my opinion, is not to be the hero yourself, but to be the person that gives them the cloak or the sword or the elements that they need. You are the sage advice along the trail. You are not the actual hero yourself. And when you understand that,
Mm-hmm.
you can then deploy content and stories and benefits and proof that support why the thing is amazing that you're giving them. But you're always basically positioning it as you, the lead, are about to become the hero. You're about to get the outcome you've always wanted. We're just going to fulfill some key elements, some key tools in your toolbox, some key weapons, some key armor, whatever analogy you want to use, so that you are now capable and your success rate goes up dramatically. And
Mm-hmm.
that positioning is very different. And so, how do you do that from like a fundamental piece, right? So, I'll cover one of them. There's personalization. So, making sure that when you talk about it, you're talking about it specifically in the context of them. So if you're asking a question about your prospect, even though a lot of it may be the same because they may be in the same pain, whatever, that pain may be reflected slightly differently if you know that they're married or not married, if you know that they are in a second career, or whatever stage of life they're in, whatever identifying factor, not just, oh, I've added their name to the email, like that's the most basic version. It's actually changing the narrative. Right. And so that is one
Yeah.
of the ways that you can significantly nurture, because then it's like going back to my old funny example from the Ron White skit. It's like, are you naked on a beanbag eating Cheetos? It's like, dang, this guy's good. You got to know that, like, man, it feels like it's so personal to me that this
Mm-hmm.
person really understands me to the point that it's almost uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Because if they do know that, then they probably know a lot more about me, and actually seem to be equipped to help me specifically in this moment in time, in this period of my life, in this chapter, and in this exact pain point. They are the sage, master, wizard, whatever, that's going to give me the tools and components I need to succeed, and my belief system goes up dramatically. That's what I mean by
Yeah.
personalization.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. It's more than just merge tags and adding their name to the email and then just talking. I think one of the things I did previously, before I even touched marketing, was uh, quote unquote personal training business for musicians. And I did a podcast and released about 50 episodes. And I got more marketing material out of that podcast and out of just talking to my clients than me trying to come up with it myself. And this was before AI, where you could just ask Chat GPT, like, hey, what are the 10 things my customers are going through in their words? So having those conversations, the content, I have to say, like, I am a lazy copywriter. I did a lot of copy, but it was so easy when I just asked the customer, got on a Zoom call with some of their customers, asked them questions, and then I transcribed it, took their exact words and exact phrasing, and I put it in the email. And the client's like, this copy's amazing. I'm like, yeah, because I didn't write it. Your customer said it. So it just reveals exactly what you need to say. And that's whether you are nurturing through a warm email list or if you're cold emailing and doing one-to-one outreach. It's the same principle, right? What are they looking for? What do they need help with? Why is your idea so important to them? Who cares? They get hundreds of emails a day. So I think that's the part of the lead nurturing process, is just figuring out, again, what the hell do they want? And then being that guild master that gives them the sword and gives them a cloak. And we clearly played a lot of video games in middle school and high school. We're nerds. Uh, but giving them the sword, the cloak, the chainmail, give them everything. And then when they finally want to pick it up and do something, you're there to help them. And then you charge them money. And
yeah. Well,
that's it.
Well, they will be begging you to take their money, is actually a better way to phrase that
Right.
usually. It's not that you're squeezing them for money. It's that they're excited and bought in to the
Mm-hmm.
idea that this is the solution, that they are excited to pay you to get them all the way there.
Right.
They're asking you, what can I give you to get me there? How can we fast track this? Right? They start asking you buyer intent questions. Now, I think that your example of taking questions from a Zoom and embedding in an email, terrific. Another great thing that I think is important to note here is a lot of times you learn how to do good lead nurture by putting in the reps. I talked about earlier, like putting in reps on things. And what that can teach you is when you learn those questions, let's say you give a presentation on the thing that you're probably an authority in, and you get 20, 30, 50, even if you only get five, if you get any questions after you've given your talk, those are at least what is on your prospect's mind before they buy. So,
Yep.
how do you build further belief? You take those same questions and you answer them in advance on a new version of your talk.
Yep.
So, you figure out, okay, if they thought about this pain. So, for example, I'm in the email space. So I'm just going to use what I know, right? If I talk about emails and deliverability and the concept of segmentation to sending to fewer people actually means more people open and click. I can then take the question about how can that possibly be, and I can go back to the 15-minute mark on that presentation and embed and say, and right about now you're probably thinking, how can it possibly be that sending to fewer people will actually mean more people open and click? Well, let me give you the answer as to why that is. And what that does is that makes a person go, wow, they thought about my question the second I thought about my question, and they immediately answered it, which compounds that belief system much stronger than simply answering the same question every time in the Q&A part at the end. Take that information and pull it forward into your conversation and answer in advance, because that will build belief. Because then, as David said, when they get to the end of that and they go, wow, they gave me this much value, they were this comprehensive to this point for free. Good God, what is hiding in the members area?
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. And don't try and hide the free stuff. I think we've, especially in internet marketing, where it's like, yeah, we're going to give them the lead magnet. We're going to give them the checklist on how to do it, but we're going to leave out a step. Like step number 10 is book a call with our team. I'm like, that's what are we doing here? Like, what if, crazy thought, what if you gave them the 10-step process? It was amazing. They got some success with it, and then they feel nurtured, and then they go to your team after because they try it themselves for 2 months and it doesn't work. And they're like, wow, I need help with this. But don't leave out step number 10. Don't be that guy or gal or
Yeah,
person.
generally speaking, it feels like to really build nurturing rapidly is you actually give them everything.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is here's everything you would need to succeed, and what they pay you for is getting to the result faster, right? So you may say, here's how we run Facebook ads to generate leads, right? Yada yada, right? And the thing you sell them might be, here's how we split test 45 variations of ads every single day in under 10 minutes of effort, or whatever the hook is, right? Because what you're saying is, I've shown you how to do the thing that will produce the result. What you pay me for is speed, right? Whether that's speed from software, speed from additional information, something will get them to the result faster or at a higher total ceiling than the free information you gave alone, but the free thing must be able to get them there. Should someone be motivated enough to paint by numbers, follow your playbook, they should be able to get some form of the result at the end. The thing they're paying you for is because they like you, there's some reciprocity, and because they're getting there faster, stronger, better than they could on their own.
Yeah.
That is the difference.
It begs the question, when I started getting into newsletter acquisitions, and this does make a difference because I view newsletter as lead nurturing, because people, you nurture them to open the next one every time, and every single day it's a battle of whether or not they open your next edition. And for me, I'm like, well, how do then I make the newsletter itself the product? How do I make the business the product? And when I flipped my lens around, just like writing a newsletter compared to treating the newsletter as a product, as if they are paying for this product, how do I make it so damn good that they open the next one? And that for me is just like the eternal newsletter wheel of nurturing people. It's how do I make this itself a product? So when I sell a product, they go, wow, well, if this product is really good, then the quote unquote actual product, I would love to pay for it. And that is the eternal game. And it's hard and it's boring and it takes work and involves reaching out to people and doing all the shit that we want AI to do for us. But at the end of the day, man, we're humans selling to other humans, and it just, the nurture process is just so important and so undervalued.
Yeah, it also keeps you relevant and top of mind. I think is
Mm-hmm.
a big piece to not be overlooked. I mean, we've talked in past episodes about prospects that have been on lists for years, then ultimately buy. I mean, I've experienced this firsthand as a product creator that people have been opening and clicking emails for 2.5 years, and then they finally buy a tripwire, and then they buy the whole stack, and they buy the whole way up, and then they want to buy the done for you. It's like, wow, where why have you been hiding for 2.5 years, and what made this moment the right time in your arc and your story and your journey to pull the trigger? And the answer almost always surprises me. And those are things you try to learn from and take that feedback and go back, right? And try to integrate that
Mm-hmm.
into your own content calendar and help that subset of your ideal audience feel directly seen, be that naked on a beanbag chair eating Cheetos.
Man, you love that Ron White sketch.
Oh man, it's so funny. I've probably heard it 20, 30 times and I still almost pee myself laughing every single time.
It must be your
Uh,
alarm in the morning.
it's very visceral, which is why I use it on the podcast. So you're
Yeah,
listening,
yeah,
like,
yeah.
wow, okay, yeah, that paints a picture, all right. Uh, anyway, so of course there's all the other little things. There's A/B testing. There's additional segmentation. There's a lot of interesting things you can implement, but I think that in general, when you think about nurturing, I think the things we've covered so far probably get you most of the way there, right? They help you think about, how do I put them as the hero role? How do I provide them the value? I can use things like proof and testimonials to support that, but I shouldn't drown them in it. I should use it as a mechanism to foster belief in the areas that they may be resistant to belief. Right? So like I used my example of sending to fewer people means more people actually open, click, and buy your stuff. That's where testimonials are helpful, because most people who are in the beginning arc of their email journey do not believe that to be true. It is true. They do not believe it to be true. And so that's where
Mm-hmm.
testimonials and proof can come in, because you have to break those beliefs and say, well, not only is this provably and objectively true, but start to question everything else you held as a strongly held belief now that I've jarred you awake. And you're in a journey to find real answers here. So what else can we do to demonstrate that maybe the construct of where you're trying to get to isn't how you thought it was? And that may mean that the tools and support and assistance you need to get there aren't what you originally thought they were either. And let me show you what we have to offer. So I think that's a pretty unique way to look at it. Any final thoughts here, David?
No, I think that's really it. I think the rule of thumbs are the rule of thumbs when it comes to lead nurturing, and just accept that it's a long process. Accept that it's a constant battle and it's a constant uphill, but you're in business. So you're a part masochist. So you kind of love that shit. So just go after it, man. And it's more fulfilling. It's more fulfilling at the end of the day.
Yeah, you'll feel pretty good when you have people that are totally bought in, and then surprise, surprise, they actually get the outcome that you're trying to help them achieve.
Crazy.
That is the magic sauce in all of this. Cool. Well, as always, we've got a full list of ways that you can personalize, segment, A/B split test, and nurture to your heart's content in our article down below. If you want to use email to do that, which is one of the greatest ways of storytelling, in my opinion, over a long period of time, that can lead to other formats of storytelling, of course, can send traffic to the video version, can send traffic to the audio, podcast, whatever. That's where Campaign Refinery comes in. We've really mastered the art of deliverability, in my opinion. So you want to check that out. Link down below. And David, tell them what's up.
Absolutely. If you want to figure out how I'm actually continuing this newsletter that I was talking about and making sure people stay on and don't jump off and tank the fucking valuation of it, you can go to wealthyinbox.news, check out the blog/newsletter on how I'm doing this in my own day to day. So it's right there for you. Prepare to be nurtured occasionally.
Become the hero of your own newsletter journey.
That's it. That's not the tagline, but sure, I'll put that in the fine prints in terms and conditions.
Print the shirts. Yeah.
Print the shirts.
All right. Well, thanks for joining me, David. We'll talk soon.